The Michigan Court of Appeals ruled today the Oxford High School shooter will not be resentenced and his guilty plea remains. Oakland County Prosecutor Karen McDonald issued a statement saying, quote, "The shooter had his day in court. A judge weighed the severity of his crimes and rendered a fair sentence." This was filed on the shooter's behalf in January. It came a little more than a month after an Oakland County judge denied the same request in December. And the shooter wanted to get that new sentencing for killing 4 students and injuring others inside of Oxford High School in November of 2021. The appeals process at the state level is a little different.
If a defendant pleads guilty, they don't have an automatic right to appeal the way they would if there was a jury conviction. And so in Michigan, for a plea-based conviction to be appealed, the defense has to file what's called leave to appeal. In other words, permission to appeal.
The permission was not granted by 2 courts. The Oxford High School shooter pled guilty in October of 2022, nearly a year after the deadly incidents. With a guilty plea, he underwent several court hearings mandated for juveniles to determine if he can serve a life sentence without parole. That happened in the summer of 23. Then in December of that year, he was sentenced to life in prison without parole.
There are very specific deadlines for when someone has to submit and file leave to appeal.
In the motion filed in January, the shooter's attorney says the court didn't take into consideration her client had fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. Cooley Law Associate Dean Tanya Kraus-Phelan says we could see other filings in this case.
The leave to appeal was specifically for withdrawing the guilty plea and or resentencing. That does not mean that there could still be other appellate issues that Mr. Crumbly will try to take up through the Court of Appeals or eventually to the Michigan Supreme Court.
As for how many times a person can appeal,
what we refer to is a defendant exhausting all of his appellate remedies. Now, there's not necessarily a definitive timeline on that.
For now, the shooter's life sentence without parole remains. He's in the Oaks Correctional Facility. That's in Manistee.